नमस्ते प्रणाम गीता ध्यान ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showerer of the nectar like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters, O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 9th Adhyaya, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga, and having read the 24th shloka in our previous reading, where Sri Krishna told us, he taught us that whichever way people worship other deities, whichever way people worship various ritualistic, modes of worship, the various kind of sacrifices, all those offerings, all those sacrifices, all things that they give away in those sacrifices, Sri Krishna has said, I am the ultimate enjoyer and I am the Lord of all those worships. They might be worshipping with the intention of getting something. They might be worshipping, performing that ritualistic act to gain something, to please some deity and all those things. But ultimately, Sri Krishna says that whatever they are offering in that yajna, all those offerings, I am the ultimate enjoyer. These deities, maybe they partake of it. These small deities, possibly they partake of it, they become happy, but the ultimate enjoyer of all those offerings given in the yajnas, I am the one. And they might be the presiding deities for that particular act, that particular ritual. But I am the ultimate Lord of all the sacrifices that are being conducted, all the sacrificial acts, all the yajnas, whichever yajna you term. The presiding deity may be X, Y, Z, but I am the ultimate. I am the ultimate Lord. That's what he had taught us in 24th shloka, saying, Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha. Bhokta as well as Prabhu. I am that enjoyer and the ultimate Lord of all these yajnas, all these ritualistic acts that are performed by people to gain something, to attain something. And then in the second line of that 24th shloka, Sri Krishna has a bit of a lamentation that people are unaware of this fact that I am the ultimate. People are unaware of the fact that I am the ultimate enjoyer. And since they are unaware of this fact, they don't know this ultimate reality. That results in their falling down into that cycle of repeated births and deaths. They don't get liberation. They don't get mukti. They don't get nirvana. Because they are unaware of this reality, because they don't know this to be the ultimate reality, that I am the one, they have to once again get back into that cycle of birth and death. Natu mam abhijananti. They don't know me, the real enjoyer. They don't know me. They are just happy knowing that, oh, this deity is satisfied with me, therefore this deity has given it to me. But this presiding deity is not the ultimate authority. It is just like that government official who has okayed your application and given whatever you want. It is not the one which has come to you from the Governor General or the President. So, Sri Krishna says, Natu mam abhijananti tatvena taschavanti te. And therefore, since they don't know this ultimate reality, these poor fellows, they have to fall down. Chavanti. They fall down on this path and once again get entangled into that cycle of birth and death. There is no mukti for them. So that is what Sri Krishna has taught us in the 24th shloka. Today we are going to read the 25th shloka. Again, Sri Krishna is telling us something similar to what he has told, that people worshipping in various types of ritualistic worships, they may attain to that goal, that's it, but no nirvana. So what Sri Krishna is going to tell us, that yanti deva vrata devan pitrun yanti pitru vrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajinopimam. Now Sri Krishna says that people who perform various kinds of ritualistic sacrifices, if somebody is performing sacrifice pertaining to the Devaloka, the plane of gods, the higher planes, where Sri Krishna told us that people go there and enjoy all those celestial pleasures for n number of years till their merits are not destructed. I mean, they are not, ticked off. The moment all your merits are ticked off, you come back from that Devaloka and start your journey again with birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. So Sri Krishna says here, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. Those who are the votaries, those who are the worshippers of the gods, with the objective of attaining the plane of gods, the godly heavens. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitrun Yanti Pitru Vrataha. Those who are votaries of gods and goddesses and those middle level deities, they reach to that plane. They get those. They go to that plane where they are worshipping those gods, goddesses, deities, the presiding deities of those sacrifices. If they are performing Deva Yajna. Now these are all the types of yajnas basically that Sri Krishna is talking about. That Deva Vrata. Deva Vrata is one who worships gods, thereby undertaking the Deva Yajna. There are various kinds of yajnas that we have seen, that Ashwamedha Yajna, Rajasuya Yajna, or Putra Kameshti Yajna, Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Bhuta Yajna. All these kind, and here in this shlok, Sri Krishna is talking about these three types of yajnas, the sacrifices that people normally used to perform in those ages. That people wishing to get to the Devaloka, they would do the Deva Yajna. And Sri Krishna says, one who does this Deva Yajna, one who worships the gods, he attains to God. The votaries of Devas go to the Devas. Go to that plane, that heaven, where these gods, goddesses, demigods, demigoddesses, these presiding deities, they are dwelling happily till they fulfill their merits. Then, Pitru Yanti Pitru Vrataha. Pitru Vrataha, those votaries of the celestial mains, our ancestors, forefathers. Pitru is forefathers. There is also a separate, heavenly plane where all these forefathers, ancestors, they are dwelling happily till they end their merits. So they go to that Pitruloka. Those votaries of Pitrus, those votaries of the ancestors, they go to that plane of ancestors. Pitru Yanti Pitru Vrataha. Pitru Vrataha go to Pitrulok. Then Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja. those who are worshippers of the bhutas. Now, bhuta is basically also or the beings as such, the human beings and the animal beings, plant beings. But here, the bhuta yajna is mainly for that category, which is in between the gods and the human beings. Like Bhut Loka of Lord Shiva, the Bhuta companion, Bhuta Gana of Lord Shiva. They are superior to human beings, but they have still not attained to that higher level of being called as gods. They are a bit lower than gods, but higher than the human beings. So there are people who also worship these kind of Bhutagana to attain to that loka. Maybe their objective is to enjoy that loka of the Bhutagana and have those enjoyments till their merits are intact. The moment the merits get on diminishing, then again they have to come back. Now Sri Krishna says, having talked about the Devaloka, the Pitruloka, the Bhutaloka, now what he says, that Yanti mat yachinaha apimam. But those who worship me, those who are my votaries, those who meditate upon me as the one and the only real identity, real Lord, the real existence knowledge, bliss, absolute, as the Satchidananda, those who worship me in that spirit, they come to me. So again Krishna is telling, whatsoever is your attitude, you will get that. That is for certain, Sri Krishna says. If you want to go to Devaloka, go on conducting the ritualistic acts to please those gods. They will grant you entry into the Devaloka. You want to go to Pitruloka? Okay, go do the activities, perform those rituals. Perform those rituals to satisfy your ancestors, your forefathers, and they will open the gates for that Pitrulok. You go and stay there for some time, maybe for a long time compared to the earthly lifespan. If you want to go to the Bhutalok, you start, worshipping the Bhutagana. You start worshipping the Bhutas. They will open up the door of the Bhutaloka and you go and enjoy your time. That limited, whatever limited time frame you are allotted to be there in that Bhutaloka. Then again, Chavanti. Again you have to fall down and come back into that cycle of birth and death. But Sri Krishna says, those who worship me, mat yat janaha apimam. Yanti mat janaha. Yanti mat yachinaha pima. Those who worship me, they come to me. There is no doubt on this. So this is what Sri Krishna says. Votaries of the Devas go to the Devas. The votaries of Pitris go to the Pitris. Votaries, worshippers of the Bhutagana, they go to Bhutalok. And my votaries, my worshippers, they come to me. Because they know that there is no separation between me and them. They realize the oneness with me, Ananya. They realize they are no way different from me, and therefore they come and stay with me in that eternal abode, never to come back again. Now, water in the pipe can rise to the level in the reservoir to which it is connected. Likewise, mind of man rises to the level of the deity whom he adores. Now, when a tank is getting filled with water, there is maybe an outlet. When the water starts overflowing, the water will reach to that level and then it starts overflowing from that outlet. It won't go beyond that. Likewise, our mind, to whichever level it has evolved of worshipping, it will reach that level. It can't go beyond that. And therefore Sri Krishna says there are these various modes of worships, worshipping the Devas, worshipping the Pitris, worshipping the Bhutaganas. They will reach that level, then the water will start overflowing. Those who are worshipping Bhutaganas, they will reach that level of Bhutaloka and they will escape to that loka. Those Pitraloka, they will raise to that level of Pitraloka by worshipping Pitris, by worshipping the ancestors, by worshipping the gone by generations. They will reach that loka. Those who have worshipped the gods, they will reach the Devaloka, and from there they will enjoy for some time and again come back. Then the water will start overflowing, the water will again come down. But those who worship the Lord, the ultimate Lord, for them there is no overflowing and coming back. The water only goes out and out and out. The sadhaka should therefore be able to distinguish between the minor deities at various cosmic levels and the ultimate Lord, the ultimate Ishvara, the ultimate reality. Once that distinction is made in the mind of sadhaka, which loka I want to go? Do I need to go to Bhutaloka or a Pitraloka or a Devaloka, or I need to straightway go to my ultimate reality, to the ultimate Lord? That decision the aspirant, the sadhaka, has to make for himself or make for herself. The Devas are more evolved than men. Their span of embodied life being great, they are called immortals. They are so supposedly called immortals, but they are also subject to birth and death. They are called immortals because their lifespan is huge compared to the earthly lifespan of 100 years of the human beings. Their lifespans maybe 5,000 years, 10,000 years, but again it has an end to it. By worshipping them, men may gain longevity and supernatural powers, which are all hindrances to the ultimate liberation. They may get long life. They may get into that loka to enjoy those all n number of years. But that doesn't lead to mukti. They may get superpowers like the gods. Do this and that's it. Somebody is transformed from human being to animal or from animal to human being. All those supernatural powers they might get, but they can't get liberation. The Pitris are the mains who form a region of their own. There is Pitraloka in between all these 14 lokas that are mentioned in the scriptures. Sending holy thoughts for the welfare of departed ancestors is good, of course. We must worship, we must adore, we must respect our ancestors who have given us this great boon of this wonderful lineage. And we are the result of that lineage. So we must worship the ancestors, but we must not limit our worship. That I want to reach that plane of my ancestors where all my ancestors are dwelling so happily. What will happen? I may reach that plane. I may become, for my future generations, I will be one of those ancestors. I will be one of those, earlier generations. But having spent some time in that loka, again I have to come back. And same is the case with even the Bhuta loka. The Bhutas are, in the scale of evolution, they are intermediate between human beings and the Devas and even the Pitris. By worshipping them, the votaries may at best get some psychic powers. We may get some psychic powers if we keep on worshipping all those, ghosts and demons and, the companions of Lord Shiva for that matter, the Bhairavas and all that. But those psychic powers, those miraculous powers, they are not going to take us to liberation. So Sri Krishna says ultimately all these kind of sacrifices, they are superfluous. With those sacrifices you cannot reach me. You can reach me only by knowing me, by understanding my true real nature and knowing that you are no way separate from me. Then you worship me and you come to me. So likewise, Sri Krishna says that whichever way people perform their worship, whichever way people want to get to those goals, people work accordingly, people go to that plane, people get that goal, people get that thing that they yearn for, and again they have to lead the future course of their happening, whatever is going to happen. If they have to come back, they have to come back. Maybe after 10,000 years, million years, maybe after billion years. But having reached the God, having known the God, there is no coming back. And on this particular teaching of Sri Krishna, Sri Ramakrishna used to give one very wonderful, anecdote. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, this was another favorite of his anecdotes among his teachings. Sri Ramakrishna says, a dyer, the one who dyes the cloths in different colors, a dyer once had a unique method of coloring clothes. He had a solitary dye tub. He had one tub, and into which he would dip the clothes brought in by the customers and give whatever color they wanted. There was only one dye. But from that one dye, the customers used to bring him the cloth. Okay, dye my cloth white, dye my cloth red, dye my cloth yellow, and likewise red, yellow, blue, green, purple, all these colors and more colors were produced from the same tub. These people, they used to bring the clean washed white cloth. I want red. This dyer, this magician, he used to put that cloth in the tub and bring it out. You want red? Here it is, your red. Oh, you want green? In the same tub, he would put the cloth and out come the cloth, green color. You want yellow? Okay, here is your yellow cloth. You want purple? Oh, fine, no problem. Here is your purple cloth. Now, how is it possible? The same tub, the dyeing material remains same, but then this dyer is able to produce the dyed clothes of different colors which his customers wanted. You want red? Take red. You want blue? Take blue. You want yellow? Take yellow. You want purple? You take purple. You want orange? Take orange. And an intelligent customer who was watching this miraculous trick of the dyer, he entrusted his cloth to the dyer. Dyer asked him which color. Intelligent customer, he said, I don't want the color of my choice. You color it as per your liking. You dye this cloth. You color this cloth as per your choice, as per your liking. He had understood the trick of his dyer, that he is the real magician. Whosoever wants, whatever he wants, he will give him to that. But what he has, nobody has asked for that. People had only asked for their choices. Whoever asks, what is your choice? What is your liking? What is your favorite color? That you give me. Only this intelligent customer had asked, and the magician, he gave him the color of his own choice. Now Sri Ramakrishna further says, our mind is the cloth. Ishvara is the dyer and that dyeing tub. The ultimate Lord is the dyer and the dyeing tub. He gives us what we pray for. If we pray for Devaloka, okay, here, fine, go to the Devaloka. If you pray for Pitraloka, okay, go to Pitraloka, enjoy that Loka and then again come back. If you ask for Bhutaloka, fine, here it is, way to the Bhutaloka, the door is open for you, go and enjoy in the Bhutaloka. But nobody asks for the dyer himself or herself. People always ask what they want. There is hardly any intelligent customer like this one who asks the dyer, dye my cloth with the color of your choice. Dye my color with your color. So that is what this beautiful example, this anecdote, this story that Sri Ramakrishna used to tell. That ask the God, what is your choice? Give me that. I don't want anything of my choice. I don't want to go to the Devaloka. I want to go to the Pitruloka. I don't want to go to the Bhutaloka. I want you, my dear Lord. I want just you. The best that we can do is not to ask him for anything, but give ourselves over to him. What a beautiful teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. Give ourselves over to him. Let him decide what he wants to give. He in his turn gives himself to us. Such a beautiful teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, and such a beautiful teaching of Sri Krishna in this 25th shloka of the Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga. Let us ask the Lord, I want you. I don't want anything else. You give yourself to me. That is all I need. And with that, Lord says that those who seek me, they get me. That's it. As simple as that. What more you want? And that is the greatest guhya. That is the greatest secret that Sri Krishna has taught us in this 25th shloka of the Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga, the 9th adhyaya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ram Krishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami.